All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here today taking a pretty good haircut. Spiders down exactly 1% on the nose. Dow down just above that. Triple Q's down 1.8. And the Russell 2000 actually the strongest, down 96 basis points, and actually held up pretty well throughout the day up until the end of the day, where the bottom just kind of fell out of the market here. But again, still seeing kind of signs of potential rotation here into those small caps, right? The bottom did not fall out of the IWM until the end of the day, when everything else just kind of caved in. And you saw a little bit of weakness from semiconductors really all day long. I mean, take a look at SMCI, which closed green, but it was down pretty sharply through most of the day. But look at like Broadcom down 4.25, KLA down 1.6, TSM down 2.38, Intel down 5.3, AMAT down 1%. Texas Instruments down 1%. So we had a pretty good decline. AMD down 10 basis points. Came off the lows though, so good recovery for AMD. But semiconductors kind of coming in, and look at these patterns here. Doji, right? Maybe a little evening star, no follow through yet. But again, I started to see kind of that sign here that maybe semis are starting to roll, and kind of seeing rotation in other sectors. Why do I think that? Well, the Fed is, Waller last week said, they're going to maybe be open to pushing down that short end, aka Operation Twist, aka QE. Maybe they're doing that as reverse repo runs out because they know that they have to do something. And if that happens, that stands to bend small caps and other sectors, embattled sectors that have not run yet, biotechs, growth stocks, stuff of that nature, where semiconductors maybe could finally take a breather. Additionally, getting into the thick of it, if we go into tomorrow, first of all, we only finished with, it's 4:14 p.m. right now. We're at 71 million here, including the after hours. So we probably finished with like 68 million shares. That is not distribution volume, at least for the broad indices. That's not heavy volume. And it's very suspect to me that we just sold off like this all day long in front of Powell talking to Congress, in front of JOLTS, in front of ADP. And then we got this big bounce at the end of the day, which we did play in the trading room. I should have held a runner on that, but we got a nice little thing. We got it in like 50.66 or 50.67. I just didn't want to hold that into the overnight, but that ended up being a pretty good bid. We're actually at 50, I should say it was ES, so 50.66 is right here. And we're at 50.90, so anyway, going into tomorrow, just a lot of stuff. There was volume on the futures. I like to look at SPY because this represents long-term positions. But in any case, it is a little suspect to me. That's just a little suspect that we have economic data and the Fed chair speaking tomorrow, and we're selling off ahead of that. It just looks like they're trying to get puts, on board. Anyway, we did do, for what it's worth, some damage to the wedge. We did close below it. Now, the next level I'm really going to be watching is 50.38. If that breaks, I think that, well, first of all, you got an air pocket all the way down to about 40, this gap fill, so 49.80. And then your big level is still 49.46. That's the big level I'm still watching. Why does that matter? Because that would be your that was your next higher low. That was your last higher low, really. Unless you want to count that. I don't really count. That's not enough of a pivot there. That 50.60 area, which we did test today at the lows, right down there, 50.56 low of the day. So that would be your big area. But 50.38 I'm watching. Plus, if we were to close, say tomorrow, let's say we do sell off. If we do close below 50.38 tomorrow, that would be a secondary close below this wedge trend line, as well as a break below that. So that would definitely get my attention on the bear side. But right now, till support breaks, assume buy the dip will come in and help the market, which it did at the end of the day, finally. So triple Qs here, that did crack that trend line again. So the Qs are weaker, right? Uptick in volume on the Qs. So there is definitely that uptick there. And again, semis, I'm watching them closely. If they start to slip, It's not a good sign. IGV, not a good sign here. Big volume, lower highs now. 1, 2, 3 lower highs. If we take that low out, this thing is in trouble. So especially on a weekly close, I think this could be vulnerable down to about 380. And it's like quick, right? This had recovered nicely, and now all of a sudden, you know, we're down 4%. So big move down for cloud software. Microsoft, huge component of the IGV, down 3%. So $3 trillion company. Possible little head and shoulder there. It's not the greatest, but you know, it's something to watch. We also had CRM down 5% after making new all-time highs, so into a double top. It came in pretty sharply there. Adobe and Oracle also red as well, but definitely weaker. You know, watch technology. So it's definitely on the weaker side, not really showing a ton here. Dow, outside move down 1%. You now have lower highs and lower lows on the Dow on the daily. So be aware of that. Can still get to 395 if it repairs. But short term, you know, 380, 250 will be a bit of a level, 380 and then 378. Again, there's no guarantee we get down there, but Dow is definitely on the weaker side. The Qs, we did break that trend line like we talked about. Again, if you get below this low here, 433.71 and a close, again, that opens the door for gap fill. And that, you got a little bit of a ways to go to get there. So be careful here. Again, still buy the dip bias, but you get the sense, right, that this market's kind of like, it's just running out of steam. Like we've talked about the RSI. No, I don't want to delete it. There we go. You know, it's declining, right? So just be aware of these things. But we'll see tomorrow. It does look like it's a little, this whole sell does look a little suspect. Like this could lead to one more squeeze here. Anyway, we talked about the semis and the cloud and cloud software. A little possible evening star setup there for semis and the stocks. Got to 5K, right? I was doing the video a little early yesterday before we had that little sell towards the end. And notice how we closed below 5K, and then today we're back below it. But interesting price action there. They'll be supported at 4,600 though for the stocks. For the SMH, we'll just say 210 and you know, like 205 for right now. And then you wouldn't want to close below right here, or 205 even, because then you have that gap all the way down at, you know, 196.50. We talked about cloud, not good. Dow Transports, not a great day, down 1%, but again, they kind of held up like intraday. So down move, good, buy the dip, outside move, you know, opening range break. And then again, kind of just sold off once the bottom fell out of everything else. So the transport's down 1% on the daily at face value, not great. But when you look on the intraday, the makeup of the market, this was just getting pounded all day long, and the transport's held up. So again, evidence of possible a little bit more rotation into other sectors. Again, it's not going to happen all at once. It's not like, oh, the transports are just going to take off and IWM's going to take off while semis are dumping. But you look for those higher lows. You look for those intraday relative strength, and that's going to tell us if the next correction is going to result in weekly higher lows or a deeper downslide. So let's get over to interest rates here. And we'll definitely talk about Bitcoin. That was all over the map today. And I know you guys wouldn't have it any other way. But 2-year yield down a little bit today. Yield curve's still not doing great. So again, I know everybody's talking about, oh, they're uninverting. No, they're not. Where is it uninverting? So I don't really see that yet. 2-year down a little bit, 5s, 10s, and 30s. Again, I'm still expecting the 30 to get down to this area. I think that could result in a higher low. It might spike it a little bit, maybe even get to 4.14, but not seeing a ton of downside here in yields here. XHB. So again, that was still a strong sector, and that's a sector that just does not want to give up. No matter the market's weak, the market's strong, this is always outperforming. Again, down 1% on the day, but again, it had a nice buy the dip on the open and was, you know, holding the opening range low up until about 2 o'clock. Again, same time that the bottom fell out of the market, this is when this came down. So this is still showing relative strength, which is just unbelievable. You could make a case there is a mini evening star there, but no volume, right? So housing still holding up. Here's the kicker. Here's the interesting one. VNQ down 1.21. Again, another sector that I still am seeing relative strength in, right? Buy the dip. Took it until about 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock to break the opening range. Yeah, it finished down 1.2, but stayed inside of yesterday's candle. And like I said, it took all day for this to actually break down. It took the markets breaking down for this to break down. And on the weekly, this ain't bad here. So again, there's another embattled sector that would benefit from rates coming down, or a, an operation twist type move, not necessarily rates coming down. I think that's a whole nother story that we need to get into, but would benefit from, Fed intervention, right? That has not rallied yet. So we'll leave it at that. XLF managing to scratch out a gain. You're not going to believe this. KRE up 4%. Here's another thing, another reason why I think perhaps maybe today's sell-off was kind of bogus, because this is the weakest sector in the entire market, and it was up 4% today, all day long. So all day rally there for regional banks. I don't know if it's just short covering or what, but good day there. Good day KBE, up 3%. Volume, heavy volume. Don't discount that. Broker dealers inside day, nothing wrong. That can still go higher. It's overbought though. Oil here, down 58 cents. It did come off the lows. Just really weak price action. So we had a nice breakout the other day, and then just has been unable to hold. That's not terrible. It could just put in a higher low here and go higher. But right now, definitely soft. The positive is, look at XLE. Green in a what? Red tape. XOP, green in a red tape. OIH, green in a red tape. You can even go to the gas companies. Katera, EOG, EQT, LNG. All, almost all of them green in a down tape. By the way, talk of production cuts here. More production cuts. Talk hit the wire. We'll cover nat gas now. That had a nice outside move here in the afternoon. Made a new high, and it is consolidating that right now. So again, on the gas side of things, more talk of production cuts. I still think this has more upside into the low twos, 2.25 maybe even, and then we'll kind of evaluate it from there. But it's still, ever since I put that higher low in, it's been kind of just chugging higher. 4-hour time frame looks good. Looks ready to have another leg up. But in any case, the positive for oil and energy is you're seeing those producers act well even when crude is down, and you're seeing that even in the gas kind of related stocks. So energy, or CCJ, uranium, other form of energy, holding up okay, down 1% on the day though. It's struggling with that 42 handle. So if we take this low out, you got the 200 and then 37.50. If it gets back above 45, URNM down just 30 cents, nothing terrible. You don't want to see this build a sideways base though, because then it could send it lower. But again, it still needs to close below 47.14 on a weekly before it really officially gets bearish on the bigger time frame. So we talked about nat gas here. Dollar index down 6 cents. So nothing terrible, and really starting to see relationships break down a little bit here. I don't know if this is just a head fake, but I mean, look at the dollar down, right? With the ISM number this morning, which came in soft. You'd think that would be a huge headwind or a tailwind for stocks today, and it wasn't. And then the dollar rallied back all the way towards the end of the day, and stocks didn't do anything. So that relationship that the last 2 days is really starting to break down. When we flip over to gold here, it did get to new all-time highs, like I said it would today. Not technically, but I mean it's like 2 points away, right? It got to double top. But the dollar really wasn't, the dollar rallied back all day long, and see the GLD held up sideways. And again, bonds, at least last week, did not really participate, or at least, on yesterday, did not participate in the rally with gold. They did today. So it's definitely some things shifting around under the hood. That's 2 days in a row now that things have been definitely off, correlation-wise. But to go back to the dollar really quick, again, it's holding up. Nothing really wrong with it. I would prefer it to stay above 103.50. If it gets below, you kind of want to see it put in a higher low on the weekly and close back above that. That would be a little bit of a negative for the dollar if it got below there. Gold into double top. Is there going to be a rug pull? I don't know. This is literally anybody's guess. There's some people calling for a breakout. There are people that have been calling for a breakout for the last 15 years, and they've been wrong. I do think it breaks out at some point. I just don't know if it's today, tomorrow, or next week, or next month, or the next 6 months. But it's in a double top. 1, 2, 3 up. It may need to stall out here. It's a little extended, but you know, it's holding up. Silver did back off. Look where it went. Boop, right to that trend line. I mean, picture perfect. So 24.50, that's where it backed off and actually closed red. So we'll see if this comes back down. We'll look at 23.50 on the downside, or it could just flag. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it does that, it tells you it probably wants to go up. Platinum and palladium not participating. So on the softer side, I am watching palladium here for this inverse head and shoulder setup, though. So let me get rid of some of these old lines. We don't really need that much anymore. But right above that, close above that could trigger an inverse head and shoulder on palladium. Copper held up okay today. It was down. We'll see what kind of pattern it puts in. A lower low would be somewhat bearish, down to 375. But if it holds up here, you know, you can break this trend line potentially and then go higher. Next level is 395 and then, you know, $4 or so. All right, Bitcoin, again, lots of volatility. So it looks like some margin stops got ran. Look at this on the daily. This is, look at the intraday here. You had a big stab down overnight. That was right at midnight. And then we had this big drop, recovery, and then another drop all the way down to 57.5. And now we're V-shaping back to 64. Look at this daily candle, guys. This is wild. If we end up closing the day inside of yesterday's range, that's going to be wild. Basically, all we did, though, is go down and test the 20 MA. And now we need to get into in the mindset of, because volatility is increasing, right? So we know that leverage is out of control, most likely. Look at this range on ETH today. That's insane. Again, still inside of yesterday's range, but Doge, big reversal. Polkadot, big outside move. You know, Litecoin, the list goes on. Solana, Cardano, Matic. What we need to do now is zoom out and you say, are any of these bearish on the weekly yet? I'm skipping XRP because XRP is weak. The answer is no. None of these are bearish on the weekly yet. ETH's still up for the week. Bitcoin's still up for the week. You could just come in with a spinning top doji Sunday 8 p.m. and it would not be bearish. It would just be, hey, you got to pause after a big ass move. So does this need to consolidate? Probably. Is it overbought? Yes. But again, zoom out. Don't get, you know, if you're swing trading this or holding it longer term, you know, don't get caught up with these big swings. There's going to be big swings and it's not going to stop. But make sure a lot of volatility, good day trading, but pretty good outside move. Buy the dippers did come in. It probably needs to consolidate, but again, bigger time frame, big picture, no real damage. That doesn't matter how many times Coinbase goes down. All right, so again, let's take a look at the futures. I just want to see if we're still pumping. So we're hanging right in there at basically right where we closed, or now a little bit after where we closed. So 50.90 area. This is going to be a big level tomorrow. So I'll just give you the goods now. Back above, let me just cross-check it to ES. I'd just say back above 50.90, or we'll just say this pivot here, 50.92. That's going to really put a low in. And then 5100 is going to be a big point of interest tomorrow. I guarantee you there's going to be a ton of gamma there, 0DT gamma. And you can even see this blue trend line. What is that? Oh, that's that. So that's going to be a big point of control tomorrow. If we can get back above that, bulls will squeeze this thing pretty high. Your next pivot is 51.15. That was a buy the dip level yesterday. We never got there. Would have been a buy the dip level today, but we dumped before the market opened, so it wasn't. But this would be another big level. So 5100, 51.15. We'll watch this area here, 50.90, 50.92. And bears, it's simple. Get a lower high and let the rest do its work from there. So that is what I'm looking at going into tomorrow. Again, things will change in the morning. We'll see how it goes from there. Do they rug pull this and squeeze this up one more time? It's certainly possible. Can't rule that out. Powell talking at 10 a.m. Jolts at 10 a.m. ADP at 8:15. You guys take care. I'm going to wrap it up here. And come find me at carnivoretrades.com. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow.